Hello once again and welcome to my latest video. Today's video is going to be feature some of the comic books I have that are raw in my collection, but they are going to be the ones I have in multiples, which means more than one. All right, and just to make things a little bit different, I'm also going to make this my very first tag video, which means I'm going to tag some people in the community and hopefully get some dialogue and involvement that way. All right, so if you want to know who I tagged for this video and what comic books I have that are raw and multiples of in my collection, come on back after the short video intro. Okay, welcome back. Comic Sniper here along with my sidekick Mark III. Today we're featuring, it's going to be my top 10 raw comic books that I have in my collection that are in multiples, which means more than one. All right, and as I promised, I'm making this a tag video, so I'm going to call out some people to do the same. And without further ado, let's show you who I've tagged, who I'm planning on tagging for this video, who I've tagged. So there they are. I'm tagging 5 people. Just thought I'd keep it small for now, in no particular order. Number 1, I've got Thimothe, Canadian comic hunter. We have We Love Comics, that's Chris, as well as Thomas Churchill, Regie Simmons, IFBB Pro, that's the name he's got on his channel, and Tou Moua. Believe that's how you spell your name. Sorry if I messed that up. But great guys, great content, love all the comic books that they feature, and also these guys give great advice. So stand up guys that are on the YouTube channels. So guys, if you haven't checked these guys out, make sure you do. Make sure you give them some feedback, and make sure you follow and subscribe to their channel. All right, so guys, I'm tagging you guys to make a similar video, which means it can be either raw, slabbed, just multiples in your collection, and you can do a top 5, top 10, whichever you like. I'm not restricting it to anything specific. And of course, if you want to tag other people, by all means, love to see others in the community. And if I didn't tag you and you also want to participate and make a similar video, I'd love to hear it. Come on back, let me know that you have done that, and I'll be more than happy to come check out your video. All right, so with that, let's get started. Like I said, I'm going to be doing top 10 for now. Okay, so the first one, which is, I'll do a countdown, I guess 10 to 1. This is going to be The Man Called Nova, number 1. Oh, we got a glare going there. All right, and of course, since this is multiples, I have not 1, not 2, but 3 in my collection. I don't have another stand. So, but what I'll do is just so I'll put it like this. There you go. So I have 3 copies. Not this is probably the best one I have in my collection. Of course, this is Nova number 1, first appearance and origin of writer. I can't remember his name. Richard Rider, sorry. There you go. And hopefully, in the future with Marvel and the MCU, we will see him in future movies. All right. So that's number 1, because I love this character. I think he's a pretty cool character, and hopefully we will see him in the MCU sometime soon. That's why I picked up. Every time I see a good enough deal, I'll pick these up. All right, so that's I'll consider that my number 10. All right, as number 9, we'll do a countdown of this. I only have 2 in this one, and that is Amazing Spider-Man, of course, 194, and I have 2 copies of that. All right. There. All right, And of course, this is the first appearance of the Black Cat, iconic characters. Both of them together, you know, they have great chemistry. I love this book. Really hard to find in super high grade because, of course, the black cover. But this is definitely a one of a key book in the Spider-Man universe. So worthwhile collecting, and I like having. I also have a graded comic of this. I can't seem to. I didn't have it here right now, so I'm just featuring on Raw Books anyway. So that's why I've only got the 2 right now. Okay, so that is number 9. Coming in at number 8, we have Marvel Spotlight, number 32, and I have 1 copy, 2 copies, and 3 copies of that. Actually, just picked that last one up at a show. So that's this one. I just picked this up at a show recently, so super happy to have this in my collection. This is, of course, the first appearance of Spider-Woman, and of course, you know, there's no rumor of her yet in anything, but I would still love to see her. Probably not as a standalone movie, but possibly things like on a Netflix, or as a guest appearance, or you know, a guest character in a Spider-Man. I think that would be pretty cool, right? So that's why, and of course, you know, this book carries a little bit of value as well because she's pretty popular. So that's why I love collecting this. All right, so that's coming in at number 7. So 9, 8, 7. Okay, number 6, we are headed to DC, and that's going to be All-Star Comics number 58. And with that, I have 1 copy and I have 2 copies. Significance of this book, of course, is the first appearance of Power Girl. Now, you know, this one's definitely not a high grade, but this one's pretty good. It's kind of hit and miss. This book, I've seen this book kind of fluctuating as far as prices is concerned. DC, of course, having their problems with making proper and, you know, likable movies. But I think once they get their act together, you never know. She is a pretty popular character. At some point, she might actually make it onto the big screen. Love to see that happen. So, yeah, this is a good comic, anyways, to collect. And if I see one of these, definitely looking to pick this up. So coming in at number 6. All right. At number 6, it is the Uncanny X-Men 129, and I have 1 copy of that, and I have 2 copies. And of course, this is a very significant issue because it has a lot of first appearances, most notably Kitty Pryde, as well as Emma Frost, Sebastian Shaw, and I believe the Brotherhood as well. First appearance. So this is a pretty key comic book, especially once Marvel gets back the X-Men. They should, this comic book carries some value because of so many first appearances, but I still believe this is an underrated comic book, and it should rise more, definitely once things starts happening in the MCU, and of course with the X-Men. So always looking to add this to my collection, so that's why I've got 2 copies of that. All right, so on to top 5. And going back to Spider-Man on top 5, this is a big one. Amazing Spider-Man number 50, and I've got 1 copy, 2 copies, and bam, 3 copies. Oops. Oop. Alright, man, fell down. He might, I don't want him to keep falling down, so you know what? I'll just keep him off for now. Probably gonna hit that. Probably gonna hit him a few times if I keep doing that. So that's why. Alright, so back to this. This is number 50. Now, these aren't super high grades, and oh, of course, this is the first appearance of the Kingpin, so definitely a very big key in the Spider-Man universe, and of course even Daredevil. There you go. Let's see if we can't to get too much of the glare out. All right. So really iconic cover, been swiped many times. None of these are super high grades, as you can see, but still love to have them in my collection. I specifically like this one the best, even though it's got just because it has the date stamp on it. I just like Providence kind of thing and on it, even though it's not either that or I don't mind having a little bit of that on there, a little bit of date stamp. All right, so that's number 5, and then this is what you would be calling a modern grail, because definitely it has gained a ton of value. NYX number 3, and I have 2 copies of this. Definitely definitely love having 2 copies of this. This is a great iconic book. Laura Kinney, definitely first appearance of X-23. Laura Kinney. It's too bad. I mean, with the movie released Logan, I thought she, you know, the girl who played the X-23, I thought she did a great job. Very ferocious for the little girl, and she did, you know, her action scenes was very believable. Really great. I just wish. I know it's going to change once Marvel and Disney takes hold of all the mutants. So I doubt we're gonna see the same actress play the role anymore. Probably they might make her, you know, a little bit older, probably late teens, depending on how they do. I'd love to make sure that, you know, I think she's a great addition to the MCU and Marvel in general. I'd love for her to be back on the screen at some point. So and opposite Wolverine too. That would be like they did in Logan. So yeah. All right, so 2 copies of that. Happy to have that. Okay, we're getting down to some big ones. And the top 3. All right, here we go. So this is, of course, giant size X-Men number 1. And I have not 1 copy, but 2 copies of this. And if 2 copies is good, 3 is even better. There you go. Awesome. Okay. There. And of course, this is a big one, right? This is the first full appearance of a ton of characters. You got Colossus, Storm, Nightcrawler, Thunderbird. Second full appearance. I mean, they credit this with a second full appearance of Wolverine. I guess you can call 182 because he's only on the first page. I don't know what we have to take for a cameo. I thought cameo was just like 1 panel, but whatever. You know, that's how they're crediting this with that. But it's the first new X-Men, first appearance of the team, the X-Men. That's why it's such a significant book and such an iconic cover, and great story from here on. All right, so 3 copies of that. Super happy to have that. That's just fantastic. This is one of my biggest grails, and just, you know, excited that I have actual 3 copies of this. No plans to move them anytime soon. That's why they're staying raw in my collection. I'm not. And so we're down to the last 2. and this is, in my book, a big one. Of course, Amazing Spider-Man 129, and I have 2 copies. Excuse me. Woohoo! First appearance of Frank Castle, Mr. Punisher himself. That's, you know, it took me so long to get a copy of this, and to have actually 2 copies, it just blows me away. And they're not too bad too. There's, you know, some, of course, it's not, I don't have I don't mind not having 9/8 copies, but definitely just even having a mid-grade such as these blows me away. It just I'm just so, I feel so, you know, lucky to have them in my collection. So yeah, if you ever a lot of people keep this as their, you know, have this as their Grail book as well, so, and rightfully so. Can't wait for his second season to come up. That's going to be something else. He did such a great job in the Netflix, his portrayal of the Punisher in both what is it, Daredevil, and of course his first season. Did a great job. So down to our last, the number 1. But before we do, I just want to give a couple of honorable mentions to a few books, a couple of books at least, and one of them would be this, Shazam #1. Love having this in my collection, just because, you know, he's coming out with his movie soon, very very soon. Actually, saw the trailer. You know, when I first saw pictures of Shazam, it looked kind of cheesy, right? I thought, well, you know, a little campy, but that I'm kind of okay with that. You know, maybe we could use a little bit of campiness in the DC universe, because they haven't really, you know, done too well trying to make it serious and realistic, right? So maybe going the other way would be better for them. They certainly have good characters to do that. I mean, their TV shows is a little bit, you know, corny and campy, and it's doing very well. I'm not a great fan of all of them. I kind of like the Flash. The characters in the Flash is pretty good, and Supergirl, I'm about half and half. I like you know, like the stories. I like Supergirl herself that plays the character, and I think she does a good job. It's the supporting characters I have such a hard time with. They seem to be always, you know, full of drama and crying, always making speeches, you know, and something to that effect. So let's just get on with the action, right? So anyways, that's just me. So, but anyways, oh, and just another side note, a little bit of a story. You know, as a kid, as a young kid, when I was reading this book, it brings back such good memories, because, you know, Billy Batson, as a boy, and then of course he turns into a man. You know, when you read, even though the you know, when you read this, his comic books, you kind of put yourself in his position, because he's so, you know, you can relate to him so much, because as a little boy, how would you become a superhero yourself, right? And what would be great if you actually could just turn into a superhero whenever you wanted, and then of course go back to being a boy, and, you know, playing as a normal boy on a regular basis. But when there's trouble and you know, the world needs you, you can become a superhero. That's kind of the thinking. I always thought, you know, wouldn't that be great if that could actually happen with the power of Shazam, right? So that's why this, you know, Captain Marvel holds a pretty special place with me as well. So it brings back a lot of memories that way. All right, that's why I definitely gonna get an honorable mention in my book. And then the other, sorry, the other book that I feel should get an honorable mention is JSA Classified #1. Just because I love Adam Hughes' work, specifically his older stuff. His newer stuff with Superman, I can kind of take it or leave it. Right now, it's nothing that blows me away, but probably my most favorite cover, that's why I have you know, multiples of this, his work with Power Girl here. Just the composition, you know, the view, how it's from space looking down with the plane, and just the detail on this. Just fell in love with this art right away as soon as I saw it, and it stayed, you know, becoming one of my favorites for all this time. So that's why it gets definitely gets an honorable mention. All right, and number one. Without further ado, we are down to number one, but not quite. We're gonna break number one into 3 parts, and you'll see why. Okay, here we go. So, starting with Incredible Hulk number 182, and I have 2 copies of this. This is, of course, 3rd appearance of Wolverine. This I just found out, like I've said recently, I just found out about the significance of this book. I always thought it was, you know, Giant Size X-Men was the one after this, after 181, but I was wrong. He does show up. He is in the front page. He's in 3 panels actually, and he talks in it. So. It's being credited as, it is credited as 3rd appearance. I think it's making it like a 2nd cameo. So, and I have 2 copies of that. And then number 1, let's say we'll call this number 1 part 1, and then number 1 part 2, of course, is Incredible Hulk number 180. You know where this is going, and I have 2 copies of that. So happy to have that. Of course, this is gaining so much traction now. This is because, of course, 181 is so outrageously, the price of it now is just skyrocketing, and every time I look, it just seems to be climbing. People have definitely turned to this book as an alternative, and as such, this has gained a lot of ground just in the last little while. It's definitely climbing as well. So happy to have 2 copies of this, and of course, you know where this is going. My number one part 3 is, of course, the big one, the numero uno, Incredible Hulk number 181, and I have not 1 copy, that one I just picked up recently, not 2 copies, but bam, check that out, 3 copies of Hulk 181. How awesome is that? Ah man, I don't know, I'm just so happy. Last year I was just ecstatic to pick up, you know, I can't remember, I think it was this one, to pick up my first copy, because it was on my wish list for last year, and I managed to snag it right at the end of the year, late December too. And of course, I'm just keeping an eye on things, and you know, seeing if I can make a deal with some people, and hey, it just, the stars aligned, and lo and behold, 2 more ended up showing up. So really happy with that. And so that's so that is my, you can call loosely, top 10 in my collection. All right, so let's I'm just gonna pack this up a little bit. Oh, we'll keep this here. So guys, thank you again very much for joining me today and going through some of this collection with me. Anytime, of course, I get to rummage through my collection and pull some out and kind of enjoy it, you know, it's a good day. So that's why, and this just gives me a chance to go over my collection, at least with you guys and for myself as well. So with that, I'm gonna also put up the I'll put up the list of people that I'm tagging for this. I'll just take this one out. Once again, for you guys that I've tagged on this video, make sure you guys once you make the video, let me know. I'd love to go ahead and see what you've got. All right, and of course, I want to thank and give a shout out to my newest subscribers. I'll have some names coming up on the screen anytime, And of course, if you want to have your name on any future videos, make sure you subscribe to my channel. That's all I ask. And of course, make sure you hit the like button and the notification bell, so you make sure that you know you're stayed connected, and you don't miss any of my future videos. Of course, let me know what you think, guys. I'd love to see what you guys have in your collection. Let me know what you think. Tell me what humans you like, what your thoughts are. Always welcome to see your comments in the down below. And of course, while you guys are collecting your grails, whether they be you know, because of they're holy grails, or whether they're just key books or something that you're just very fond of in your collection, make sure you enjoy the hunt. All right. So with that, Comic Sniper. Well, he's not flying in the background, but let's see if we can't get him on there real quick. Dang it. Sometimes he doesn't stay on just... There we go. Along with Mark III, my lovable sidekick. Alright, we'll see you guys in the next video. Ciao for now.